What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian Colon from House of Wrestling, and yes, it's back. Dream matches. Yes, this is one of many dream matches that I will be dropping at the beginning of 2023. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification so that you're notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. So let's get into this dream match. You have Jade Cargill and you have Mercedes. And I know many of you are going to be like, well, her name's Sasha Banks, and why are you saying Mercedes? Well, depending on the speculation that has been surrounding the one Sasha Banks going into 2023, with her potentially attending and being at Wrestle Kingdom 17 the first week of January, and then possibly Saraya's tag team partner at the Los Angeles January 11th Dynamite. It's a lot of things, so I'm just calling her Mercedes right now because it could be in 2023 she will go by Mercedes Mone, wrestling in New Japan, and possibly AEW. So that's why, if you see the thumbnail and you're watching this video, her name is Mercedes because she has trademarked that. So that'd be the possibility. I'm not going to go through the hassle of naming her Sasha Banks when it's changes. So just go with Mercedes. So yeah, this dream match, Mercedes versus Jade Cargill. This has been something that a lot of fans have talked about the last several months, especially as Jade Cargill's winning streak has increased and she gets closer to 50-0. Of course, it amplified when she and Bow Wow got into a Twitter exchange and she confronted Bow Wow at a concert, and then he appeared on one of the Titantrons on AEW Dynamite, and he said, "I'll see you real soon." And of course, everyone's making the connections between Bow Wow, Snoop Dogg, and Mercedes, aka Sasha Banks. So in this video, I will refer to her as Sasha Banks, even though on the thumbnail and this little graphic below, it's named Mercedes, so that way you guys know who I'm talking about. So yeah, this has been talked about for a while, and if you look at the facts and the things that they've accomplished, it's pretty impressive. Of course, it leans more towards Sasha Banks, but for me, one of the reasons why this is a dream match for me is because, one, Jade Cargill has a name that's growing in professional wrestling. Sasha Banks, if this match does happen in AEW, and if Sasha Banks, like I said, is headed towards AEW, this is a very polarizing match. Of course, many people will, heavily criticize Jade Cargill, as far as, well, she's not a good wrestler, she's not this, she's not that. For me, I don't look at that because, one, I've been in a wrestling ring, and a lot of the critiques that people have regarding professional wrestling and professional wrestlers and how they work in a ring, unless you've been in the ring, you might want to slow down on that, because it's one thing watching wrestling outside the ring, but once you get in the ring and you see just the dimensions of the turnbuckle, the ropes, the mat, getting in the ring, out of the ring, and then you look at the crowd and everything, there's a different psychology behind it. So yeah, I know people are going to criticize, and I've seen the comments on a previous dream match that I did, which was Jade Cargill versus Bianca Belair, which has surprisingly gotten so many views on the House of Wrestling YouTube channel. Check that video out. But yeah, this would be an interesting dream match for me because, one, it would be very polarizing. Jade Cargill has a name that's growing in professional wrestling, like I said. Just her presence alone, when you see her on screen, you're like, wow, that's a superstar. And many people have said that about her. They're like, man, that's $1 million. That's box office right there. And of course, we know the work that Sasha Banks has done, main eventing WrestleManias, Her matches against Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Bailey, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, just that core of women that she's wrestled during that time that's, pretty much considered the women's revolution in WWE. So it would be an interesting matchup, especially if it's in AEW, because, of course, AEW's women's division has been heavily criticized as far as just not getting enough time and just not enough emphasis. And I could see that. To some degree, it's true, but, lately, and you could say ever since, oh man, after All Out, that there has been an increased emphasis on aggression, just I don't want to say seriousness, but just an aggressiveness, a grit, physicality. Like the matches have been really like, whoa, this is interesting. And of course, it's the main event between Hikaru Shida and Jamie Hayter on AEW Dynamite. Man, that's a perfect example. And I know the matches that Sasha Banks has had in the past regarding, who she's facing WWE have, they've had elements of physicality, but not to what AEW does. And I'm not saying it's more aggressive, it's just an alternative. Like it's like I don't want to say totally different, but you can see the difference. And to see Sasha Banks Mercedes in that environment is very intriguing and interesting, and especially with someone like Jade Cargill. One, I would like this match because it's someone different that Jade Cargill has faced since being in AEW, and it's someone different that Sasha Banks Mercedes has faced in WWE. So it's the contrast, and again, you have Jade Cargill. She's a powerhouse, just power, just strength, and then you have Sasha Banks, which is more all around technique. You could say high flyer to some degree, sometimes, but more of an all around wrestler. And that's not a knock at Jade Cargill. It's just that's her style, and it's just how the styles would be presented. That's very intriguing. And of course, Jade Cargill, she's had multitudes of squash matches and everything. And, facing someone like Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes, that's a veteran, that's main event at WrestleManias, that's main event at pay-per-views, that's held multiple women's world championships, and, the caliber of wrestlers that she's wrestled, Hall of Fame worthy. And Jade Cargill, of course, it's only her, she's going into her second year? Third year as far as wrestling. So that would be an interesting match. And is the wrestling and just how they would wrestle, I believe the way it would be presented is it would be, man, I don't want to compare it to William Regal and Goldberg in that match where William Regal tried to show him up and stuff like that. Not show him up, but just like, hey, this guy's not where he should be. I don't think that would happen. I believe it would be more, it would slow Jade Cargill down, where she would really, as a character and as what we've been accustomed to seeing her in the ring, would be something totally different, where I could see Sasha Banks, Mercedes, attacking a body part, attacking a knee, an arm, a back, reducing her strength and everything. And, I could see Jade again using her power clothesline, the was it her running pump kick, which is, man, that is a nasty kick. So I could see her utilizing that, but man, it would be an interesting matchup. Again, this matchup would get a lot of eyeballs on it. Would get a lot of people talking. It would get a lot of intrigue because, again, if this match does happen in AEW, again, this is a big if. At the time of this recording, it is December 26th, 2022. So this is not 2023. So whenever you guys watch this video, again, this is December 26th, 2022. So if Sasha Banks goes to AEW, it's going to get a lot of people talking. Again, if Jade Cargill is still undefeated by the time they do face, of course, like I said, people have been talking about this match because they're like, hey, the perfect person to give Jade her first loss is Sasha Banks. So it's been there. And then, of course, you have a lot of people, which I could see that side, like, man, why would Sasha Banks wrestle someone for a secondary title when she's a world title? So you have that discussion and everything. But if it's, for me, if it's not for the, man, it's hard to say, man, because it would be perfect for Sasha Banks to defeat her. But then at the same time, it's like, man, like, it would be cool if it was for the world title. So don't know how that plays out, but man, getting back to the match and everything, seeing how Sasha's wrestled against Charlotte and Becky and Bayley, Nia Jax, someone that was, just power and everything. This would be an interesting match, and I think this would also take Jade Cargill's presentation to another level, because we really haven't seen Jade Cargill wrestle someone that keeps her on the mat and really brings a different psychology to her as far as trying to break down Jade Cargill, the powerhouse. Again, she has that pump kick. She has the jaded finisher. When she whips them into the turnbuckle, the basketball move, and then she clotheslined. But this would be an interesting match, man. This would be an interesting match. I know Sasha Banks usually, and I'm talking historically, and this is both for men and women wrestlers. Historically, when wrestlers leave out of the WWE system, like, there's a little bit more aggression and a little bit more feistiness and a little bit more like, like, man, I couldn't do this in WWE, but man, I could do this now. So I think that would be also the other intriguing thing about this matchup, is that we would get a more aggressive, grittier, more physicality being brought by Sasha Banks in a match if this happens. So that's something that would just add another element of intrigue to this match, because it's like, okay, like I said, you got the power of Jade Cargill, you have the all-around skills of Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes. Again, hypothetically, what if the baddies are there? That's going to be an element. Who would help Mercedes Moné if she was in AEW and she had to deal with that? That's a whole thing to think about. But man, just thinking of how they would present this, if this was in AEW, would this be on a Battle of the Belts, a Dynamite? More than likely would be at a Dynamite. But man, perfect scenario. This would be so perfect for Double or Nothing, where, again, if she's Mercedes Moné, it's like, okay, I'll put my money on it. that I could give you your first loss. I don't know if Jade Cargill would be undefeated by June or May 2023. I don't know if she'll be undefeated by then, but if she is, like, that would be the ideal spot because, again, in all professional wrestling, when you have a heavily promoted match with two big stars, I don't care what promotion it is, New Japan, AEW, WWE, Impact, you can throw in NWA, CMLL, AAA, Stardom. It's the spectacle. It's the moment that the two wrestlers are in the ring and you get that shot of the crowd just cheering and cheering. And I think that's the interesting thing about this match is the spectacle. You know, Jade Cargill's entrance, Sasha Banks' entrance. You know, they get in the ring. Justin Roberts announces them, and then you just have, you know, the commentators just hyping it up and just that crazy, rabid, electric, energetic, frenetic crowd that AEW crowds usually are, you know, seeing them face off and just them playing to the crowd. And, you know, Jade Cargill, she's a big trash talker as a wrestler. Like, I love it. I love it. And of course, Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes, is, and from what we've seen her in the WWE. So it would be interesting to see how Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes, would be if she went to AEW and faced Jade Cargill, and just to see that dynamic and her getting feisty and just seeing how the match would play out. How would Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes, get the advantage on Jade Cargill and try to break her down, and what strategy would she use, and if she gets Jade Cargill, down, like, how would Jade Cargill react? Because again, all we've seen of Jade Cargill in her matches, she's been a powerhouse. She's just dominated people. It's very few matches where she's been vulnerable. I think the only one that's been close is Willow Nightingale. And of course, Jade Cargill defeated her. So just thinking of that, and of course, how Sasha Banks would react to when Jade Cargill gets the upper hand and the advantage, and she starts using her power, and would she overcome the pump kick, and Jade Cargill's finisher, the Jaded? Like, would she overcome that? Would Jade Cargill overcome the bank statement? And, Sasha Banks' submission hold, would she overcome that? So a lot of those elements are really intriguing. And I know a lot of people just, it's unfortunate, but, Jade Cargill's too inexperienced and she's this and she's that. And compared to when she started and where she's at now, she's grown as a wrestler. She's a growing attraction. And that's very rare in professional wrestling, that you come in as an attraction and you're growing. So, I mean, whenever or if ever that match does happen, I would be really interested and invested in it, because I've seen Sasha Banks work. I've enjoyed and loved Sasha Banks' work. And I think the perfect match to give us an idea of how she would somewhat react or work in this match is her match against Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. And I'm not saying Jade Cargill is like Bianca Belair, but there are some similarities with their athletic background. So, I mean, that would give us an idea of how Sasha Banks would go about it. Of course, in that match, Sasha Banks was the champ, and she was more heelish. So this dynamic would be very interesting. Her versus Jade Cargill, because Jade Cargill is more heelish, and Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes, would be more of a face. So it would be really interesting to see that dynamic. But man, it would be fun. Like the entrances. Of course, when you think of Sasha Banks' entrance, if it's an AEW, it's not going to be her song that we've known for the past, 7-8 years. It'd be something different. So that also plays into how the match goes. But man, it's fun to think about this, because, Jade Cargill, many people have made comparisons to her and Storm from X-Men. If they ever were casting for Storm, she would be the perfect person to cast because she has the look. I know that she's mentioned that her look was inspired by China and, of course, Storm from X-Men. So, just seeing that whole dynamic, man, it's so fun to think about, and just, this dream match and this fantasy match. Like, man, Jade Cargill versus Mercedes, aka Sasha Banks. Like, man, how would this play out? Like, would this play out? Would this ever happen? If, will this ever happen? It's exciting to think about, because it's like, man, again, at the time of this recording, it's December 26, 2022, and it's like, wow. In January, like, man, could Sasha Banks go to AEW and we potentially have that match in 2023? It's very intriguing. If not, and let's say Sasha Banks does go back to WWE, that's a whole different thing and presentation with Jade Cargill. How would WWE use Jade Cargill and present Jade Cargill? And of course, I know people might comment, well, they would just blow her up. Yeah, that's very general, but you got to be more specific. I think it would be more along the lines of Bianca Belair and actually China. They would kind of present her like China, like she's the ninth wonder of the world, so to speak. So that would be very interesting, if the roles were reversed and Jade Cargill was going to WWE and facing Sasha Banks, and that would be very interesting. See how that plays out. And of course, lately with WWE's women's division, it's just been very vague and just very like, we're waiting for something good. It's just like, all right, we'll wait, but okay. But man, Jade Cargill versus Sasha Banks and Mercedes Mone, man, that's an interesting matchup. That's very interesting, and leave you guys with this. Let's say the match does happen. Does Jade Cargill come out better? And what I mean by that is the presentation, just her as a wrestling character. Does she come out better? I think so. And that's the other intriguing thing is like, man, let's say hypothetically in fantasy world, man, what if Jade Cargill lost to Sasha Banks? Like, how would she react, and how would AEW, what would be their plans going forward after she lost? That's a big question and a big if that ever did happen. Like, man, how would she, what would they do? Would they bring her down? Like, where's that next level to Jade Cargill? And I think that's the interesting thing about this matchup is we've seen the growth and the different levels of growth with Sasha Banks as a character in WWE. And of course, Jade Cargill, she's going into second, third year in AEW. So we haven't seen as many growths to her character as we've seen with Sasha Banks. So that's a real interesting dynamic to see as far as if they ever wrestled. Man, we're like the next level of Jade Cargill. That's going to be, and I think a match with Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes, if that ever happened, would take Jade Cargill to another level. Because, man, if you really think about it, Jade Cargill is a very power wrestler. Man, if she learned some freaking submission holds and got real technical and added, along with her power, just a more submission-based moves with her strength, ooh, that's scary, man. That is scary. And it's scary, it's fun, but it's also entertaining. It's like, man, how are you, she lost, but man, she came back with more of a vengeance where she's just like putting people in, wrapping them up and everything. So, I don't know, man. That's very interesting. So let me know what you guys think of a potential dream match, maybe a dream match in 2023. If not, it is what it is. We can still fantasize and dream about a dream match. But let me know what you guys think of the dream match between Jade Cargill and Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes. Leave a comment below. Again, like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notifications so that you're notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Whew. follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And whew, man, thank you guys so much. Again, let me know what you guys think of this dream match. Jade Cargill versus Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes. Leave a comment below. And man, I hope this match does happen in 2023 because that presentation and that crowd and that pop, whew, that's amazing. So again, thank you guys so much. This is one of many dream matches that I will be dropping going into the beginning of 2023. Thank you guys so much. With that, I'm out.